I'm gonna switch over to this and see if that improves anything. I don't know how many changes I can actually make to this chat room. There we go. I'm bringing you guys back in, um, and popping back up. It always takes a moment to load in these circumstances. Um, yeah, I froze for a second because I'm reloading. This might be a new. You might have to refresh, and it's a new page. Hopefully, this will fix the buffering. I just changed the bit rate that I'm broadcasting on in case people are overloading the interwebs this fine morning. So initially, I thought we were going to have Cliff Schechter on first hour, and then it turned out John Fugelsang was going to come on, and then other stuff's happening. So it's just us this morning to sort of deal with this, the news this morning, and both like it really obviously a heavy weekend. Both the um, what happened in Australia really standing out to a lot of people. The heroic acts of the guy who attacked one of the gunmen and then was shot by the other gunman. He's in the hospital. It was a father and son team that did the attack in Australia. Obviously, the interpersonal and familial horror that happened last night in the Reiner family is just going to be a scar for a long time. His art is, legendary and beautiful and sweet, and hopefully that's what people will carry with them. Because many of us I don't think I could count the laughs he's given me. So, and that's an immeasurable gift. And his wife was so lovely. Then, of course, obviously the Brown shooting, where it's just another classic example as of Trump and all the like Patel and all those guys like issuing information about the thing and being completely wrong. First of all, Trump announces that they've caught a person when there was still a shelter in place order. They had not caught a person. Then they get a person, and Patel like wants to dunk on it so much that he wants to like impress everyone with the work they're doing, and then of course they release that person as not being the shooter. So again, this sort of like egotistical waste of time that this White House and the leadership of the FBI, and I want to be very clear about that, the leadership of the FBI is becoming, known for. Just as it's like the new standard. They're so desperate for a win. Thanks for that, CSL. Appreciate that. Sorry for the clunkiness this morning, but I'm trying to remedy a couple of things so that I can try and get a better guest system for people to come on. That I was getting an issue for those that have been watching the show. Occasionally, when I'd be doing CPT or whatever, the system I used to get guests on the show would get the person trying to get on the show would get a hosting error, and I was trying to find a remedy for that. So piece by piece, bit by bit. Also, I gotta say, like, there is a lot in this White House where they're going to ride the noise. This is all going to give them a break over the next little bit, and sort of allow them to have it distract the public for a period of time, anyways. But it's not going to work in general because my buttons don't work. Because Trump is dealing with the reality that his polls are down amongst a lot of people, including his own. The biggest drop in support in poll numbers for Trump, just statistically per capita across that, has been amongst the people who define themselves as MAGA, people who consider themselves deeply MAGA. Now, Could it be that he is rolling around looking like like a sausage skin in a red hat? Sure. Could it be him falling asleep in meetings? Yeah. Could it be him up all night yammering old man yells at clouds all night about stuff that maggots don't care about, or they are actively uh, either not in support of when he is, or actively against, and then he specifically comes out and goes, anybody against this is against me, and they can go pound sand or whatever. They're stupid, and I don't want their support anymore. But in this, Mark Mitchell, head pollster at Rasmussen, which you guys, I showed you guys this a bit ago, where they started their own little video channel, and this guy, particularly Mark Mitchell, started doing these videos that were, before they were happy to just kind of list their poll stuff, make phone calls, but apparently they had to do these audience of one videos to try and get Trump to pay attention to this stuff, and it is not working. I played these videos, what is it, 3-4 months ago, when they first really started pushing them, and I haven't seen anybody else, like the channel doesn't even have that many subscribers, but they are screaming to the high heavens to try and get Trump or the people around him to pay attention to these poll numbers, and he's just getting irritated with them. So he spoke with the president at the White House and warned Trump that he is losing support amongst the MAGA base during his this is not even the videos. He was invited there. Mitchell was invited to the White House by Vance in the hope he would offer Trump an outsider's perspective on how the public views his presidency. So Vance didn't bring him to try and make him feel, like better about it. This is not, they've been doing that. That's Susie Wiles' job. He was trying to drop some reality on Trump, which is obviously not going to work. What the ever-loving hell is going on here? Look at that. Jesus Christ. Is that Trump or Gary Busey? Okay, the invitation came as polling repeatedly shows Trump recording. I gotta squeeze this over here. Hold on one second. Get over here, you silly thing. I have to squeeze this down. Love modifying stuff on the fly. Let's see. Is not focused on proving the lies. Okay, the record low approval ratings amid growing concerns that he is not focused. By the way, they keep calling him 79-year-old. That the 79-year-old, they keep hitting his age because he's going to be 80 in June, and apparently it drives him nuts. So it's like calling him Donald. Those two things irritate him. Bring up his age and call him Donald. So they do it all the time. Anyways, is not focused on improving the lives of tens of millions of Americans who are struggling with the cost of living crisis and abandoning his America First agenda. There are and I'm sure CSL will back me up on this. I think if in all of the areas where there is there's been a new flush of videos online channels. Right-wingers that have either been around for a while, were bumping along below the surface, were seen by the MAGA as insufficiently loyal, or were just kind of blending in because they were just like everybody else. And then all of a sudden they started flipping out. They started paying attention to his his actions, his obviously, and the biggest thing obviously is the Israel first idea. I'll show you a little bit of what I mean in something that came up just generally in my feed over the last little bit. Let's see. And this is indicative of a lot of what I'm seeing across the board in terms of this. Let's see if here it is. I'll open this up. Okay. This would be, and we'll back this up. This is a like a pro MAGA America First mini channel, okay? With, by the way, obviously some production behind it. And this is This is Olivia Swing is her name. This girl right here. And she does, I guess she does whatever the MAGA movement is splitting in half, and it's all about Israel. This is the Israel is tearing the right apart, and no one is noticing. And in this video, she breaks that. She said, look at the production behind what she's doing. I mean, kudos if she's just doing this herself or using AI to do it or whatever, but it looks more like she's an offshoot team. So and a big part of this is like mentioned in this video. Why we'll cover why Israel gets more U.S. aid than any other country and what that money could have done here. The Scofield Bible and how Christian Zionism reshaped American evangelicalism. Evangelicalism. Why wouldn't you just say evangelicals? Okay. How political Zionism became confused with biblical prophecy, the split between America First conservatives and Israel First conservatives, Trump's impossible position caught between mega donors and his base. Okay, that's not an impossible position. He doesn't need donors anymore, dipshit. He's not running anymore. He can't run again. And if the mega donors let that be Ted Cruz's problem, in theory. So stupid. Anyway, so here's donors. You mean funders, but whatever. I'll give you a little sample of what at the beginning of this, and this is indicative of a bunch of stuff.
Picture this. You're an average American, and one day at church, your pastor tells you that God is commanding America to support Israel unconditionally. But wait, aren't church and state supposed to be separate? Oh, but then you find out your congressman just voted to send billions of dollars overseas, while your own town has bridges falling apart and people literally living on the street. And when you ask why, when you just ask the question, you get called anti-Semitic. That's exactly what's happening to the most loyal voices in MAGA right now. They're asking,
boo, fuckity who. The primary thing you need to know is that this has been a fight in and amongst MAGA for a while, and the leader of this is Nick Fuentes. The person pushing this more than anything else is Nick Fuentes. The problem is, and let's see, why is my chat not working? Reload, you silly thing. Let's see. Reload. I don't want it to. Let's see. Show my enable better. It just doesn't. Control audio. No. Shut down source window. No. Refresh browser when scene becomes active. That should be fine. Okay. Close. Now it should start. Oh, it just grew gigantic. Oh, there we go. All right. Excellent. I made it work again. Yay. So, Nick the Virgin Fuentes. All right. Look, you can dunk on people for a lot of things. But if your religion says keep chaste and that's what you're doing, that's not a good grab. It just isn't. It's a waste of time. He's because he's not technically an incel. That's the thing. He would be a volcel, a voluntary celibate, right? Just for the record, let's just keep our stuff on the up and up. We don't have to, there's plenty to dunk on there without making stuff up. So, but this is a massive problem on the right, obviously there's been issues with campus progressives and the kind of camping and being anti-Semitic and blah, blah, blah in the follow-up to October 7th. That's the least of the problem. That's not the issue. It's overt, it's loud, you can address it directly. The problem that the right has is that it's a whisper. She even, I think, hold on, let me see if I can find this. She invokes a round table with, where is it? Charlie Kirk. Yeah, here it is. So one of the things she addresses is the fact that apparently, and this leans into that whole Candace Owens thing, is that in this Israel is tearing the right apart, no one is noticing. that he was heading in this direction of kind of like, is it against America first to, support Israel the way Trump is or whatever?
Ted Cruz uses the Bible to justify aid to Israel, doesn't even know the verse. Do you guys think that's like not the best way to approach this? Raise your hand.
That would be a leading question, just in case you're wondering.
I think Ted Cruz used Genesis 12:3. I think a lot of people see that as off-putting when you look at the New Testament.
Why?
Because I think a lot of people, they look especially at the writings of Paul, where he talks about how the new flesh is not the same as the people in the Old Covenant. The new flesh is everybody, is everyone's included.
Talking about Romans 9.
Yes, 9:6, yeah.
Are you Catholic?
Converting a Catholic from
I can
Judaism.
tell.
This is my next
Oh,
slide.
from Judaism?
Yes.
Oh, wow. So you're you're ethnically Jewish.
Ethnically Jewish, yes.
And you have concerns about AIPAC.
Yes, I do.
I'm told that by some people that if I criticize AIPAC, I'm anti-Semitic.
I think it's ridiculous, yeah. I feel like it's great to have a concern for your country.
Think about that. The Christian
So this is the story. This is the way, like, they are. This is the way they're backfilling Candace Owens' theory about Israel had some part in killing him and yada yada yada. That's sort of immaterial to the circumstance because, again, in many ways, this is a mess of their own making because they have no consistent ethics. They have no genuine care. That is the one thing you can say, I would argue, across, Democrats, for example, and I hesitate to use things, left and right because, again, I think there's so much overlap these days, and sort of the populist lie that the fringes sell. So it's really the crust trying to be the pizza. And in this particular case, they don't seem to care. They made as many bedfellows out of this as they possibly could, strange or not. And so the one fluid thing about Democrats is I think there's an ethic to, we want, if we can't get universal health care, a single payer or at the very least, reforms that guarantee health care for everyone in some capacity is a baseline goal. That's a goal. That's a for those who can't provide for themselves and those who have a hard time providing for themselves and for those that need it, aren't aware they're going to need it, but will need it when they're, when an accident, God forbid, happens or a disease or something happens. It would be best if we provided a system wherein under that envelope, every American citizen was covered based on, the prioritization of our tax dollars specifically for this. Yes? I think we could generally, and so it is a, there we go, move this up a little bit so it keeps, I don't know why it keeps resetting halfway through the scene. It's funny. But so the clear part of this is that they have no running ethic. Their healthcare ethic is half of them are like almost leaning towards some version of socialized medicine because they can't figure out how to make anything else work, but they don't dare bring it up. And the other half of them are like, fuck up, you're on your own, passive eugenics, people should just kind of die. Like, that's where they are. Like, God will sort them out. The people that, it's like, there's so much overlap between the Darwinists and the evangelicals. And by the way, that I make a very big distinction between people who are Darwinists in the ideology that they believe in this easily definable survival of the fittest idea, and that they are usually their own personal definition of the fittest. And when life happens to anyone else in a terrible way, specifically, they think that's the way it should be, that's nature working its way out, that they had it coming because they were poor genetic stock, or they don't deserve to be around, or they got a bronze in the stupid Olympics. But there's a ton of overlap between the evangelical crowd and this and the Darwinists. And this is not, by the way, just like if you believe in evolutionary biology. Not the point at all. And a person who believes in evolutionary biology doesn't have to have an ism. It's either a thing or it isn't. right? It's like gravity. There's no gravity-ists. You don't have to have an ism around gravity. It's just a reality. In this particular case, there are people who sort of quietly, stupidly, and I would argue cruelly root for a version of survival of the fittest that benefits them to hurry up and kill off a bunch of people. And any situation where a person could be worthy of sympathy in a situation they are in, and therefore gain that sympathy from another human being who helps them survive, is in many ways another version of survival of the fittest. Right? If I have the strength to save your life and you convince me that's worth my while, you're the fittest in that circumstance, kinda. Or you certainly at least have proved that you should survive. Does that make sense? So that's the problem that they have. There is a lack of ubiquitous ethics on the right. And ironically, this happened under the umbrella of ubiquitous ethics, this idea of Judeo-Christian values, which they sell. Which, by the way, one of the dude who's converting to Catholicism in this clip says, when they ask him again, he brings up, what I've talked about, how like a lot of a lot of Catholics and a lot of what I would say, like the Methodist, Presbyterian, Lutheran kind of crowd over the years have come to view the New Testament as the new covenant, a shared obligation as opposed to just something Jesus said. Evangelicals, it's a testament because we're just spreading the word. That means we don't have to spread the deeds. We don't actually have to live up to it. And if we decide eye for an eye sounds cool and we want to bomb somebody, it's way easier to slip over into that when you don't have to honor a covenant, right? So that's the part where they're stuck in, and I don't think they have the mental or spiritual capacity to work that out for themselves. Now, that said, also, is my audio really hot or anything? Let me know, chat room, or Andrea or CSL if it seems... Gotcha. Okay. So she continues, I think, with these folks.
An evangelical who built the biggest conservative youth organization in America let his audience question this.
Do you think that that AIPAC represents, again, I'm not saying I believe this, but I think this is what you're saying, that it represents a kind of cutting in line of prioritization away from the American people?
Yes.
Would you guys say that's a fair summary? 100%. Meaning that, like, okay, we vote, we're citizens, but a separate group gets higher priority because of whatever reasons. You look like you want to...
Of course, I do not think that other countries should be telling us how to spend, telling our representatives and people who are here to represent all of us that...
I feel so bad for this kid right here in the middle. He looks like the guy on Only Murders in the Building as a kid. Like the... is it Howard? Sorry, I'm blitzing on the name right now. Like if he, as a kid, that looks like him.
They should be focusing outside of the United States.
America first.
Thank you.
These aren't fringe voices. These are literally the people who built the MAGA movement, but they are now being cast out. And
being shunned, even, one might say. So this is a crucial aspect of this. is the problem they have with this movement and why an establishment will always beat a movement. Can I get an amen? There's been this attack on the establishment for a long time, and even as the word, as it represents anything. When in reality, what is a movement trying to do? Establish something. That's why the movement becomes the establishment, and then they turn on and then the new movement turns on the establishment again, right? Because once you get in there and you set the rules and you're trying to balance it out, the movement will always come through, right? But it only works. It will only do anything A movement, a revolution will only ever accomplish anything if it becomes an establishment. You have to establish them. We establish these truths to be self-evident. That's the point. And an establishment, by the way, is not a monarchy or a monopoly. An establishment is something people put together. You built it. It came from somewhere. It was made. It wasn't. It's not even an establishment of any sort. Isn't the gravitational pull of the fucking sun. I got news for you. Anybody who's anti-establishment is never going to accomplish shit unless they become a new establishment. In which case, then what? This goes right back to the fucking, all these maggots and Rogan and all these dickheads who are under the impression that they're against the man. They've always been against the man when it's fucking Obama or Biden, right? The poorest senator and one of the youngest presidents and the first president of color we've had. That traditionally is who the fucking man is. Meanwhile, Trump and his buddy, his relationship with Epstein and his fucking support from Deutsche Bank and, his funding being backfilled by Russia. That is the classic example of the man, of the elites. Everything they rail against, they are. And now, apparently, they're waking up to that fact and are shocked by it. Because, by and large, these folks, and pardon me if I'm using too clinical language, are dipshits. Rogan's a dipshit. He might have been smart at one point, but he's baked his fucking brain at this point. Theo Von is a proud dipshit. He's funny and can let stuff slip by, but he doesn't know what's going on, and he has no interest in it. It isn't that somebody is charming because they admit when they don't know something, especially if they aren't interested in knowing it and never pick it up. I'm using other people's comedy is subjective. I'm telling you, this is not about my opinion of Theo's stand-up. I've never gotten a single laugh out of anything that he's done. But that's not up to me. Again, comedians can have their own audience. It just ain't there. Right? And I think a lot of people are just, surprised when something halfway smart comes out of his mouth because he seems so dumb. And that in and of itself is a punchline. So that's it. Theo started admitting it. Yeah, well, that's what he does. I mean, that's part of the charm offensive thing that he does. He does this, hey man, I don't know shit about this stuff, but, which is another, it's the hick version of Tucker Carlson's just asking questions. Look, unless you are coming to some kind of an answer, I don't give a fuck if you're just asking questions. You're wasting everyone's time. I'm not impressed by people who are just asking questions. I would rather see somebody go, I'm just trying to get answers. How about that? I'm just trying to get answers. Isn't that really what? But the problem is they don't want the answers because the answers suck for their side. You think Tucker Carlson wants the real answers? First of all, you can't make money off a conspiracy theory if it turns out to just be reality, or by exploring it at all, you knife the tires and everybody sees it exactly as the bullshit it always was. So the just asking questions things is in and of itself a grift. I would like to find the answers. The Democrats I like in the House, especially, and in the Senate, who are having committee hearings about Epstein and all this stuff, are trying to figure out the answers. Who was working with this guy? Who was helping this guy? who was in league with him, above and beyond Donald Trump, which again should be the primary target because they were friends the longest, and he has the most. He gained from that friendship more than any person in history because you could argue it helped him become president. I want to find out who those people are so that justice can be served. I'm not interested in people just repeatedly asking stupid fucking questions or going, what if it's A? What if it's, what if, how about, I mean, it could always be, I mean, then what if, because that's what Candace Owens is ultimately doing. She's just jumping from tree branch to tree branch about, what could possibly be the person behind the person. If she ever found out exactly who ordered the death of Charlie Kirk, I've had it with this dude, and I'm paying this dude to call this dude to Google this guy so this guy kills him, she'd go, who's behind that person? Even if there wasn't one, you're never able to drop it because you're just asking questions. You're not really trying to get to the answers. Oh, from people saying just now? Okay, sorry. Fear not. Okay, we'll reschedule him whenever he's available. Lovely. Big hug to John and to Steph and everybody at Steph's show and Frangela, and we've all shared a stage with Rob Reiner, and like it just seems impossible. It's like it's hard to even process. So, in keeping with this, this issue that they are all having, the right. Let's see here. She even goes into Tucker Carlson's fight with Ted Cruz. So this is a snippet of Ted Cruz. Let me do this real quick. Here you go.
Treated by the infamous Ted Cruz and Tucker Carlson interview.
Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two,
hold on.
I'm not holding on.
Hold on. You're a senator, and now you're throwing out theology.
Oh yeah, I remember this one. This is when he came back from Russia with a fucking herp.
I am a Christian, and I am allowed to weigh in on this.
And he just got back from Russia where he was blowing Vladimir Putin, and apparently Vladimir Putin has genital herpes. So
We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
We are commanded to support Israel.
And there's evidence this wasn't organic. Schofield had close relationships.
Okay, she's talking about the Schofield Bible and how it affected evangelical teachings and that kind of stuff. It's like the John Edwards "Sinners in the Hand of an Angry God" changing the tone of American Christianity away from a loving God to the only reason you're not in hell is because of God's providence, right? So anyways, she's got a montage of these are the true America First patriots. Take a look around. Enjoy this. She put this together. This is Marge, obviously, because the big one. Steve Bannon, recently pictured with Jeffrey Epstein. Candace Owens, of course. Thomas Massey and whoever this dude is throwing a 5-pound weight at him. Charlie Kirk and Tucker Carlson, Dave Smith, Nick Fuentes, and there's Ian Carroll, our favorite mustachioed Tony Robbins love child, who are, by and large, these are either conspiracy theorists or professional paranoids. Or, in the case of this dude, a complete fucking grifter. Like, good Lord. Like, how many times do we watch Bannon laughing in Mike Lindell's face on the show? Like, just as Mike talked, you could tell he just thinks he's a fucking clown. And yet, he pays for the show, so he has him on all the time and treats him like a true patriot and a hero and all that kind of stuff, just blowing smoke just to keep the money flowing. That's what he's done. It's what he always does. Massey is down here in the corner. He's the one that, again, is I guess the only one still there. Because of Marge is gone. Or as of January, she'll be gone. That's weird. In like 3 weeks. No more Marjorie Taylor Greene in Congress. Wow. Do you think they pictured this That this time last year, huh? You think they if they look forward and go, hey, guess what? Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to be leaving less than a year out of frustration that Donald Trump is hiding the Epstein files, and that the America First agenda has totally taken a shit. And then So this is the Israel First crowd. Okay, up in the corner, by the way, there are a lot more people apparently in this one, or whatever. But Dave Rubin, Huckabee. That's Bibi Netanyahu meeting Marco Rubio, Mike Johnson, Ted Cruz, of course, Ben Shapiro. I don't know why she picks her, other than she's an evangelical, I suppose. I don't know. Maybe there's a big part of this. I know she went over there, right? I don't know. Maybe they had a dog they needed to put down. Lindsey Graham, they always neocon him. And then Peanut Butter Dickhead is up in the corner. Look at this. They've got him listed she's got him listed as an America Last, Israel First conservative. And then Mark Levin, and then of course Laura Loomer, who is basically the Susie Wiles placeholder, I guess. Okay, so then they get to the why is Israel controlling its part
Now,
Name one good thing that Zionism has brought to my country.
Who would actually invoke God himself to justify a political alliance with a foreign country?
like almost every war.
If you've already guessed Ted Cruz, you're absolutely right.
The public polling numbers of support for Israel among young Christians is plummeting. And they're being spread lies.
Maybe it's your fault.
They're being spread lies, isolationist lies that
This asshole thinks he's going to be president, by the way. Just like to point that out. He really, really, really does. No question, and I'm going to run, I have a better shot at being president than Ted Cruz does. Period. Listen to this fucking dweeb.
should withdraw from the world because nobody wants to hurt us. But they're also being spread theological lies. They are being taught replacement theology, which is a lie that the promises God made to Israel and the people of Israel are somehow no longer good. They are no longer.
By the way, that's Hagee. That's one of the big right-wing pro-Israel Christian pastors, and it's a big church, I think, in Texas. So there's to guarantee yourself a slice of the evangelical voters, you got to show up and kiss Hagee's ass.
That when God made a promise, he didn't mean the promise he made. And instead, it is an argument that the Christian church has replaced Israel and the Jews are no longer God's chosen people, and all of the promises throughout the Bible are now a dead letter. The church needs to engage and say the Bible is not silent on Israel. The Bible is crystal clear on Israel. And in the church, we will stand and fight.
Tucker Carlson, one of the biggest voices in conservative media, says things about Israel he never would have said 5 years ago.
It's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government.
Yeah. It also had... You might notice he had a direct connection to our fucking government. Namely, his best friend became president and then he died or vanished while that guy was in office, and a lot of evidence apparently along with him. Seriously, Epstein's connections to Israel and this stuff are largely based on the idea that he was Jewish and Ehud Barak was a fellow traveler. But the idea that somehow, look, if I think this might be the root of the argument why they think Epstein was Mossad and therefore Israel controls the government, and Epstein, this is the part they can't say out loud, I guess, Epstein got compromise on Trump, and therefore because he got compromise on Trump, he's got to do whatever Israel needs, and that's why there's an Israel first policy in this White House when they had promised not to get involved in any other foreign wars and blah, blah, blah. Instead of, by the way, Trump just being a a limp dick macho dickhead who thinks war makes him look tough, just like Hegseth, and he's picking a fight over there, just like he's picking a fight in Venezuela. Because it's an area where he can find support for being violent from a huge section of his own audience. He doesn't recognize that a big part of that is breaking away, which goes to my primary point, that this polling stuff that's coming up is kneecapping him. Mitchell told the Post that while Trump initially listened to his concerns and asked questions, the president eventually changed the subject to golf. That included praising two of his golf buddies, Lindsey Graham and Brett Baer, and bragging about how much money he had just raised at a golf fundraiser for Graham. To the extent that we were talking about the economic populism message, he wasn't as interested as I would have hoped, Mitchell said. Polling has consistently suggested that Trump is facing backlash from voters for downplaying or outright denying that millions of Americans are experiencing financial hardship during his second term. Last week, Trump appeared at a rally in Pennsylvania and tried to convince voters his economic policies are working, but instead, once again, labeled concerns about affordability as a Democratic hoax. Days later, an AppNork poll found that just 31% of Americans approved of Trump's handling of the economy, a record low for the president and a 9-point drop since March. Even the latest survey from the Trump-friendly Rasmussen report shows the majority of likely voters, 51%, disapprove of the president's job performance. And you got to think about this, like almost no liberals or Democrats end up answering the Rasmussen polls. That means 51% of Republicans, or worse. There are growing fears that Trump's erosion of support among his base could have devastating consequences for Republicans in next year's midterms, is the general thought, and obviously not a problem. Speaking to the Post, Mitchell said he had told Trump he had lost the momentum and goodwill he gained from his supporters following the assassination attempt in Butler. You said fight, 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 but nobody ever clarified what that means, referring to the defiant. And right now, you're fighting Marjorie Taylor Greene and not actually fighting for Americans. Eek. God damn. Ugh. Mitchell added that he warned Trump during the November White House meeting that many supporters believe he has failed to drain the swamp in Washington. No shit. He just brought in fresh alligators. And that his base wants to see the 17-year-old smash the oligarchy, not be the oligarchy. Well, guess what? Not happening. Tough shit. Stop waiting. And he's never wanted to be anything but the oligarchy, you assholes. Look at his fucking decorating style. Are you fucking nuts? Building billionaire-funded ballrooms, jet-setting around the world, touting trillion-dollar investment deals that looks a lot like oligarchy stuff. Because it is, asshole. Conservative commentator and Turning Point USA contributor Sarah Hernandez also suggested that Trump is becoming overly focused on foreign policy, particularly his desperate efforts to secure a Nobel Peace Prize during his second term. When Americans see billions of dollars going overseas to any country, it really feels like a betrayal when we're struggling here at home. Did you guys not pay attention during fucking COVID? When Trump was bragging about his China deal, selling the largest order of beef, pork, corn, and soybeans to the Chinese when Americans were in fucking food lines because the entire economy was shut down? Ugh. Two senior White House officials told the newspaper that Trump receives feedback on his performance, including criticism from MAGA Alliance voices on a near daily basis. And he moved the conversation to golf in all those situations? In a statement, blah, 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 undisputed leader of MAGA, greatest political movement, blah, blah, is delivering on his core promises, blah, blah, keeping his word to nearly 80 million patriots, and fighting every day to make America great, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Daily Boost contacted the White House and Vance's office for comment. And again, I think, he didn't post anything, I don't think is what they're referring to. Yeah. MAGA leaders warn Trump the base is checking out. Will he listen? No. He will insult them for insinuating it's even possible. This goes to the whole like COVID thing. If Trump had handled things a little bit differently, he might have been reelected then. But to handle things differently, he would have had to be a completely different fucking person. Good Lord. This is a good one. As Donald Trump ate his crab cake lunch inside the White House last month, conservative pollster Mark Mitchell tried to explain that there was a disconnect between the administration seemed to be focused on and what Trump's passionate base supporters. Sir, you got shot at. You got shot at the Butler. Well, you got shot at. A piece of glass from his teleprompter nicked his ear. A MAGA supporter, one of his supporters, fucking died. How about bring that up? You were shot at, and a supporter of yours died. His family buried him. That guy showed up at multiple rallies, and he died at your rally. Invoking the really strong optics of the fight. Now you're fighting. Yeah, I don't think he can even process that. Okay. Head pollster said Trump and his supporters believe he hasn't drained the swamp and suggested President refocus. Okay. Maggots, come here for a second. Hold on. I have to bring the chat back in for this one. Just in case we have maggots in the chat someplace. Can you, anybody, for fuck's sake, can anybody in maggot world, I'm going to load this chat box so I can see what I'm talking with you guys. Do you guys ever think he's not focused right now on exactly what he wants? For fuck's sake, like, what do you mean refocus? This is what he has always been working for. Like, for all of it. All of this shit. He couldn't be more laser focused on exactly what he wants. International deals. Look, in the last year or weeks of his presidency, whichever his brain survival makes happen, he will be demanding a percentage of the deals he made. I shouldn't have. I made these deals on behalf of America, so I should get 10% of all these things. Beyond the fact that I'm sure there's a shit ton of insider trading going on behind the scenes. It is super obvious. This is what he wants. He wants awards he can hang on the wall because he never got a fucking Emmy. He wants a Nobel Prize, and he thinks they're basically the same fucking thing. He wants his sons to slice off a piece of every deal they make by being the most corrupt royal family in the history of the Americas. There is no there, dummies. Let's see. Yes, there we go. Nowhere in any of this. Oh, good Lord. Try to open this widget, and it's very big. Okay. So, he is bearing evidence. This is the entire Trump presidency. He is grifting off the American people and his own supporters especially to carve himself off a giant slice of government money for his sons and his progeny forever. And so that they'll be so intertwined in all these kind of things that people will owe him money or he'll own a piece of these things. He's making the government buy a piece of Intel at the same time he's buying a piece of Intel so that the government is responsible for making sure that his stocks continue to go up lest the taxpayers lose money. right? And then on top of that, he is trying to get accolades and boost his ego because he's desperately weak and in need of constant reassurance, begging for for somebody to like him or care about him. So hence, like the Nobel Peace Prize, he thinks he's earned it just like he's earned an Emmy. It's all for performance anyways. What's the fucking difference? I mean, that honestly, his Nobel Prize would be an Emmy. It would be the Nobel Peace Prize for the performance of peacemaking and putting on a good show on television. If they reward him with this. And then, of course, the after money and fame, use the presidency to bury all the evidence against you. Destroy the Epstein files and the evidence against him. Destroy any trace of criminality. Have Besant scoop out his fucking tax returns and, throw him out of a black helicopter over the ocean or some shit like that. Just protect himself, by burying every piece of evidence against him. That's it. These are the three primary points. That's what he's doing. It's what he's been doing. It's what he tried to do the first time, and he's doing even more of this time. And at this point, he really doesn't. All this 2028 horse shit is nonsense, and he knows it. He's not running again. He's not even going to come close to running again. As a matter of fact, if he lives, he'll probably move out of the country. And live, in Qatar or some shit like that. But the money train will already be headed in that direction. He will already be guaranteeing himself. He's feathering his nest now for that future. Hey, maggots, do any of you gold leaf any of your fucking furniture or your house, or what do you have, gold truck nuts? What is this? How do you pass this off as anything but oligarchy? Right? It's fucking stupid. He's not going to change. He's not going to refocus. He's not going to alter what he's doing, because he's doing exactly what he said he would do and exactly what he wants to do. Wake the fuck up. Now, that said, they kind of are, and I feel vindicated in this, if I do say so my damn self, that I said 2 trains leaving the station on the same track headed towards each other, and there is no way of diverting them. They are mutually exclusive or directly contradictory. You've either got 2 north polarized magnets, or you've got 2 magnets that are going to crash into each other with all the force in the world, unless somebody pours water on them, obviously, which will stop a magnet, apparently. All right, next up. We finished some of this. This is a Washington Post article about this. He said this was a long-ranging conversation. But Mitchell's critique echoes a growing chorus of MAGA faithful raising concerns over what they see as Trump's second-term shortcomings. You guys are adorable. In recent weeks, pockets of his base, known for its unwavering dedication to Trump and his MAGA agenda, have accused him of focusing too much on foreign affairs. Boy, are they tap dancing around this shit. Failing to address the cost of living issues he pledged to fix, aligning himself too closely with billionaires and tech moguls. Yeah, every time he has dinner with these guys, he's like, he couldn't be prouder that these people want to kiss his ass. And not realizing that it's about the presidency and not about him, he takes it personally. He wants these people... he wants to show off. Look, Zuckerberg's coming to have dinner with me. Elon Musk, right? Larry Ellison, the head of Oracle, all these people. Maggots don't like these people. Some of them just because they're Jewish, but some of them because they're super rich and don't pay any taxes, just like Trump, and he can't see the fucking problem. Failing to address the cost of living issues he's pledged to fix. Okay, that's a lie. That is an absolute lie. Washington Post, that's a lie. And if you're quoting from them, then then they're lying to the Washington Post. Maggots. He is not failing to address the cost of living issues he pledged to fix. He's telling you they're already fixed, and if you don't believe it, get fucked. That's still addressing it. He's not fixing it, but he's addressing it. He addressed the letter straight to you, dear maggot, at 101 fuck you street and fuck you city, fuck you state, 9174 fuck you, with a big fuck you stamp on it, and he mailed it right to you. He's addressing it. He's not failing to address it. He's like other presidents, I would argue, have failed to address it or have actively sought not to address it, right? Like just, we're trying, but we'll let you know. It's a big problem. Like, or just avoiding the subject or trying to wag the dog or any myriad of other solutions they might find. He's directly addressing it. He had a fucking rally in Pennsylvania, the entire purpose of which was to tell you guys, maggots, all of you, to go fuck yourself. Stop bitching. It's already the golden age. Nothing needs fixing anymore. The price of gas is going down, and that will magically fix everything, even though he had nothing to do with it. Nothing at all. There is an oil glut, one that I called last year, and I mentioned it over and over again, and now there are articles saying that there is an oil glut. How bad's it going to be? And what's his answer to an oil glut? Same as his answer to too many right-wing websites out there, like Parler and Gab and Rumble and all these things. Start your own. Flood the market. His answer to an oil glut is drill, baby, drill. Yeah. Drill, baby, drill. That's what. Not, by the way, so that America can no longer buy foreign oil and we'll only use our own. No. He's interested in the worldwide market of this. So he thinks we're going to produce more oil, therefore sell more oil, and then and that will make money like the Saudis made money. That's what he thinks. Oil just costs a lot, and it always will. Aligning himself too closely, billionaires, too closely. If he got any closer to these guys, he'd be behind them. And resisting the release of more investigative files on the deceased sexual predator Jeffrey Epstein. Sorry, resisting the release. He told his own supporters that if they still want them, it's case closed. Guy died. He was a creep. Why isn't he? Are you still asking about him? This creep? Nobody cares about him. That's old news. If you want to answer the question, it's fine. But, that's not resisting. That's blockading. Across the conservative spectrum, a steady drumbeat of commentators has warned that Trump's coalition is weakened and that the party is headed for defeat in midterm elections in November. There are concerns that the base won't show up over frustrations that Trump won't pursue the MAGA agenda aggressively enough. He's not doing it at all, dumbass. He didn't shut the border because he gives a shit about, like, a secure border. He did it because he's a bigot, and it works with that particular crowd. So he got to, fulfill one of his own fantasies. And it had a political payoff. And when his own rich buddies need workers, they got an honor system. People can sneak across the border and go work for these people, undocumented and illegal if they want to, and the farmers will have to vouch for them. and others worry economic concerns threaten his standing with independent voters that keep blocking the midterms. That ship has sailed. Trump's top advisors have taken note of the criticism from within MAGA and seen as part of the cyclical feedback the administration will receive throughout his term. It said Trump staff members have planned for him to begin holding near weekly rallies to tout his accomplishments after spending little time on the stump this year. And again, a lot of presidents go through this whole thing. Like, you got to get out on the road and sell this thing, like Biden and the Infrastructure Act, right? This is different, though, because Biden could go out and sell the Infrastructure Act. He could point to bridges that are getting fixed and things that we're going to, that are being changed for the better. Trump's got to go out and convince his followers that not only is it has he fixed everything, but even if they want some new changes, they're unnecessary because it's already fixed, and if they don't notice, they're the problem. Let's see. Trump again mocked the word affordability and played down concerns about rising costs and inflation before acknowledging, I can't say affordability is a hoax because I agree the prices were too high. Were. His advisors anticipate complaints from the base could become louder as the midterms approach, but will subside as more of his policies take effect. Eventually, as an advisor quipped, the cycle will restart with a new set of criticisms. That's it. We'll give him something bigger to bitch about, or he'll throw up the great replacement theory or the great replacement sports theory. Transgender for everyone. That'll bring everybody back to the fold. And of course, Green stepping down. I'm an early indicator. I'm like a bellwether, said Green, who stood by Trump during his political exile, because she was a co-conspirator, arguably, but whatever. As pride herself on being closely attuned to Trump's base, I say it, and then within 4 to 6 months, everybody's saying the same thing. In an interview with the Post, Green said most of Trump's longtime supporters still want to see him succeed. No, they don't. No, they don't. They want to see him do the shit they want. That's not his idea of success. He's feathering his nest, he's inflating his ego, and he's bearing evidence against him. That's it. That's the entire Trump presidency. Closing the border as an emergency or shoring that up. The by and large, all the stuff about the border was in the border bill that Biden was going to pass. That was bipartisan. It would have had the same impact. Driving 80 miles an hour at a brick wall. This would be their version of the two trains. Public polling has shown mixed signals about how much Trump's support has slipped among Republicans. He maintains support from the vast majority of the party, though recent polling shows he has dipped below the usual 90%. But his approval rating overall has lagged in recent weeks. It reached its worst with voters in late November and has ticked up slightly since, though it remains lower than at this point in his first term. Again, didn't tick up. It's within the margin of error. It's still lower. Yeah, it's awful. It's still below the lowest point, that he reached. An economist YouGov poll conducted this month found that 41% of Americans approve of the job Trump is doing and 55% disapprove, a net improvement of 5 percentage points from the week earlier. That apparent softness has coincided with some Republicans' pushback against aspects of the Trump agenda, including last week when GOP state senators in Indiana blocked the congressional maps. On Thursday, 20 Republicans in Congress joined Democrats in another rebuke, supporting a bill that would overturn Trump's executive order limiting union rights for federal workers. And the other aspect of this that I think we have to keep pointing out is that he looks like hammered shit. He is withering, and everybody knows it. And the worry is that the base, the maggots, hate J.D. Vance almost as much as we do. Because if there's anybody who's tied into the sort of tech oligarchy that they're worried about, it's him. He was literally put there by their money because Don Jr. wanted a slice of it. Punchy tweets, cool video edits, no follow through. Issues among influencers in the White House assembled for the Antifa roundtable with Trump in October discussed how to stop a loosely knit movement of far-left activists who have at times incited violence during protests. But on that and a host of other issues, including administration's goal to deport more than 1 million illegal immigrants this year, not happening, which is not expected. It's not expected to reach accountability for what it believes were government agencies being weaponized against conservatives, which of course was a fantasy. And vows to make life more affordable, which was always bullshit. Hernandez says he has fallen short. He's trying to do the opposite, dum-dum. And by the way, this is him in Marine One. Someone showing him something on a screen while someone else stares at him like, can he even read? All we've really seen is punchy tweets, cool video edits, but really no follow through on any of the promises. And if he listened to his base and he was connected to us, he would be disgusted with himself. Even just through social media, you would see that the average person is still struggling to buy groceries, that the housing crisis is still on the mind of everybody, that inflation is still a really big issue. And when Americans see billions of dollars going overseas to any country, it really feels like a betrayal when we're struggling here at home. That is effectively the root of that video that I was showing you earlier as well. So, chat stopped. Anyone else? Okay. Does it only start? Is that better? Here we go. There you go. Maybe it freezes up. Hello. This is an ongoing issue for him, and it's not going to change anytime soon. By the way, hit that like, share the show, etc., etc. Sorry about the tech issues, but we'll work them out eventually. I think we did all right without a guest this morning, actually, considering how much stuff we've had to cover and the horribleness of it in general. Again, in the breaking news category, a friend of the show, Rob Reiner, and his wife were murdered last night, possibly by their own son, who has a history of addiction, and they had, apparently tried to reconcile with repeatedly. That, still, again, innocent until proven guilty. That's the important thing. We'll wait and see how it plans out. It doesn't make it any less sad or poignant or any of that stuff that it happened. I'm fine, by the way, with waiting for the truth to come out as it has to, right? Oddly enough. This is how weird. You want to see how weird the world has gotten? Here you go. This is how weird. Marjorie Taylor Greene blasts Trump for unhinged Rob Reiner post. Not about politics. Has laid into President Trump for his jaw-dropping post about the slain director Rob Reiner and his wife. Trump, reacting just hours on Sunday, took the opportunity to swipe at Reiner, who was a vocal critic, saying the duo died reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with the mind-crippling Trump derangement syndrome, which, it sounds like he's saying one of his supporters did it, or that Rob's son was MAGA or something, like taking credit for it almost. Like he got killed because people were sick of him messing with me. Reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction. Like crazy. Rob Reiner and his wife were tragically killed at the hands of their own son, who reportedly had drug addiction and other issues, and their remaining children are left in serious mourning and heartbreak. Said Greene, this is a family tragedy, not about politics or political enemies. Many families deal with a family member with drug addiction and mental health issues. It's incredibly difficult and should be met with empathy, especially when it ends in murder. Trump's own followers struck a similar tone to Greene. I love you, but this is seriously distasteful, one follower responded. Not classy, expect better of you. Really? They do? A third said, Mr. President, I love you. I support you 100%. I do not support this post. Highly inappropriate, and it puts us in their box. Tacky and tasteless. Hey, look, if this raises a standard, all the better. Let's see. Lack of compassion shown Trump is stark when compared with Reiner's response to the September 10th murder of Charlie Kirk. Speaking on Piers Morgan Uncensored, in the wake of the shooting, Reiner told the eponymous host, that should never happen to anybody. I don't care what your political beliefs are. Again, I guess maggots are having to confront the fact that Trump is an awful person. He has no interest in changing. And the idea that he's going to refocus on something that matters to them, much less is consistent with Christian ethics or something like that, is absurd. So, and again, heartbreaking. I think there's also a weird thing where Jim Jordan has subpoenaed Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton to come to talk about the Epstein investigation. Oddly enough, I don't know why Hillary, who's never been pictured with him, was never on board the flights, was never listed as being on board them, would be subpoenaed, other than the fact that maybe they just want to draw attention to the fact that Trump was Epstein's best friend for a quarter century. Yeah, the refocus is just fucking hilarious. Like, it's just pathetic. Meanwhile, by the way, the hold on, Trump picture, and the mystery woman, better go. The rest of these pictures that came out, some of it of, Epstein kind of lurking for business sake or taking the pictures to show who he was hanging out with. I gotta say, the one that stands out to me, and I don't think is getting enough attention and still must, is just how pally he was with Steve Bannon. And Steve Bannon has hours and hours and hours of video of Jeffrey Epstein talking, being interviewed, prepping him. Now, granted, there are many reasons why, beyond the fact that I believe he incriminates Trump in that video multiple times, and you'd have to edit around it, and it would be really obvious that you were doing so to get it out. But I also think part of the problem is that Bannon is off camera, apparently giving him notes or interviewing him, and then you'll see how pally Bannon is with him. Because one of the things that, really stands out in a lot of these videos that comes up is not just that, what Epstein is saying, but how the other people are talking to him. So, and then like this one where obviously he's showing up on set when Woody Allen is directing. This seems like something Epstein would do to get himself in the right circles, to float around this. Now, again, not excusing Woody Allen in this circumstance at all, but there are clearly those that he is barnacling around for the benefit it gives him and the strata it puts him into as far as power brokers and I guess to some degree, the famous, but there are those that like he comes and hangs out with specifically, and then there are those who hang out with him. And beyond these dinners that he would have, that he would gather people around, that if you read Allen's letter that he wrote about what it was really like, and he describes the house as Castle Dracula, and how like kind of on the nose the place was, that if anybody was suspicious of this dude, that one dinner at the house would give him that. And his own wife, Sun Yi, apparently helped Epstein arrange the dinners going forward because they seemed cheap and below the level of people that he was having show up at these parties. But the big one is, who's hanging out with him alone? Who's like, and again, these are, maggots are showing up for all these things. Like it's one thing like the hangouts that, they're at, Epstein throws a party and has a bunch of celebrities come, or a bunch of rich people come, or or a mix, or scientists, or whatever. Like he would do that kind of thing as a way of like entrenching himself in all those areas. It was part of the strategy. And this is him, like this picture of him walking by Richard Branson and Dean Kamen at this place, wherever they are. Like, he's not even in this shot. Like, maybe he did hang out with him. I'm not excusing this at all. If Branson and this dude hung out with him, I don't know his shtick, whatever. But it's clear that he's like photobombing essentially in a bunch of these situations. And he would do it with Trump at these bigger group gatherings, right? But there are plenty of videos and plenty of images of Trump actively hanging out with Epstein privately, the two of them together. Like, this is not a photobomb. This is not you're sitting someplace and he walks behind you, or you're sitting someplace and he goes, take a picture of me, I'm going to walk up and talk to this guy. Like, you could argue that picture of Woody Allen, and I'm not arguing it, but I'm telling you how, like, people could spin this. That where is it? Picture of this is before this. This is the other ones. The Woody Allen picture, he could have told somebody, I'm going to walk up and say hi to him, and when I do, take a picture. Right? You could do that. People do it all the time with celebrities. Like, hey man, can I get a picture? I click, right? And they're like, yeah, I love this guy. He's a friend of mine. The issue that I think a lot of them face is that some of them can brush that stuff off very easily. Woody Allen and others like that could go, yeah, I didn't hang out with a guy like that. He came across as creepy. He knew a bunch of people that I knew. We knew him socially, and then after he got busted, we stopped talking to him. There's a lot of outs in that. There is not an out like that for Donald Trump. They were friends, and the friendship extended beyond even the time that he said it did. This is where's the that one. This is Larry Summers. Yeah, this one. Like, this is the kind of photo where, like, he could have had somebody take this picture for him. I want a picture with me and Woody Allen. So, whereas Allen, I think, is talking to Steve Bannon in one situation, and it looks like he chose take a bunch of pictures and make it look like I'm giving him notes and he's taking notes on his, you know what I mean? He's that kind of a guy. Again, not presenting this, but this is totally something that Allen could use in some ways to excuse his way out of this. Okay, I'll put it that way. Whereas the party videos with Trump and Epstein cannot be brushed aside. And that's why the only response, the only ability he really has in dealing with this is to just tell his own supporters to shut up. Yeah. Rough. And apparently there is reporting that that Rob and his son had they were at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party, and Nick, they had a very loud argument with him. And he, yeah. The Reiners were reportedly at their wits' end with Nick, who had bounced between rehab and homelessness as a teenager and has continued to suffer mental health issues and drug addiction. It's not the first time their son has been violent, according to a neighbor. They said, I know of another incident a few years back with Nick, but I won't say more than that. I just never thought it would ever get to this point. An ex-classmate of Nick's told the Post she instantly knew that he was behind his parents' slaying when their deaths were announced as a homicide. Nick is being held on $4 million bail, and that he was acting strangely, and that they had an argument, and then that was that. Yeah, so sad. Police say that Nick is the man behind his parents' shocking murder, which, yeah. Which, and the Daily Beast says, which has left the entire country, aside from President Donald Trump, in mourning. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to watch Spinal Tap and The Princess Bride and Tap 2 and Few Good Men, and might skip Misery right now. Although, Misery is one of those like book adaptions that's basically perfect, because Reiner wanted to be very careful that the character didn't have an easy out that would ruin that would cause the audience to not be able to suspend their disbelief. Okay. And then, obviously, this the Brown University thing. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, it's a there's just a manhunt going on for the person. Although they were all like, we got a person of interest, and then no, we don't. And Trump had said somebody was caught even before they brought somebody in. Cops throw the FBI under the bus in Brown move that stuns analysts. They said so explicitly. CNN's Juliet Kayyem offered a harsh analysis of the investigation so far into the fatal shooting at Brown University. She highlighted a significant break between local law enforcement and the FBI. Patel trumped the detention of a person of interest in the case Sunday morning, only to see him let go by police after finding no evidence to continue holding him. CNN News Central, the case is already... Kayyem told CNN News Central the case was already a mess. I think it's kind to call it a manhunt right now, in the sense that manhunt generally means you know who you're looking for. If at least from what we know publicly, they really only have the back shot and we don't know the identity, race, or visuals of the person that we're looking for. So, as John Berman was saying, you sort of have to do a regroup. That regroup is happening in two ways. One is taking a step back and figure out whether where they're looking is the right place to look. He had to have slept somewhere. He had to get gas if he went on I-95. The second is the regroup of what they call this incident command, and you saw that last night. I've never seen a local jurisdiction essentially throw the FBI under the bus. Not just saying we're in charge, but saying, look, that lead that led us to the person of interest who ended up not being the person of interest essentially was run by the FBI. They said so explicitly. Local authorities have insisted there's no risk to the public despite the shooter remaining at large, but students have reported they don't feel safe on campus. I mean, this is the challenge, and unfortunately the challenge of having so many mass shootings is you can't close down a community indefinitely until you say, well, we found the guy. And I actually believe the mayor made the right call. You have to sort of get people start to think about maybe, living. It's not normal certainly yet, but we'll get back to some level of openness. The lockdown in those immediate hours was totally appropriate, but we experienced this in Boston during the marathon. European cities have experienced this after terrorism. If you say everyone locked down until we find them, that's just not the right standard. But this dipshit keeps wanting to be the guy who makes the collar, wants to cosplay as the fucking leader in this situation, and so they keep feeding bad intel and jumping to conclusions that literally are causing them to pick up the wrong person and then set a standard that for the public's behavior. It's just absolutely whacked. By the way, thank you, David, for the super chat, and Colleen, thank you so much, and Paul Thanos, thank you very much for that. You guys appreciate it. And thanks for the stars on Facebook. Look at that. We got stars on Facebook again. That's amazing. So yeah, they're just, the problem with all these like self-aggrandizing dipshits that Trump puts in charge of everything is that they want credit for everything. But the problem is they want it quickly so they can seem like bosses. And the problem with that is they want it before they've earned it, before anybody's earned it. Like, much less, like, it's bad enough when Kash Patel rolls in and starts taking credit for stuff the locals have done. Yeah. And then there was this LA terror plot arrest that just happened as well that they, again, hold on. I'm going to jump to this real quick because I
In
want to
direct
see.
response to the president's order, the Attorney General issued a memo to our offices implementing and mobilizing federal law enforcement to prioritize and counter domestic terrorism and political violence investigations.
Yeah, because when Christopher Wray says it, it's ridiculous. But when Trump orders it, it's him finally being tough.
As a result of those directives, we built this case. Both my office and the FBI have invested substantial resources into investigating and charging these organizations. And if anyone does not believe that members of these groups are organized, sophisticated, and extremely violent, let me tell you about the plot in this case. The four defendants are Audrey Carroll, 30 years old. The pictures, I think we have them somewhere. We'll put them up here. Audrey Carroll, 30 years old. Zachary Aaron Page, 32. Dante Gaffield, 24. And Tina Lay, 41. Each from the Los Angeles area. Each is charged with conspiracy and possession of an unregistered destructive device in violation of Title.
Can you register a destructive device? I suppose if you have the, I guess if you have dynamite for mining or something like that, that would be a registered destructive device. Destructive device. Okay, we'll just sit there. Yeah.
26 United States Code Section 5861D. We intend to file additional charges in the coming weeks as we finish reviewing the evidence. The defendants are all radical anti-government members of the Turtle Island Liberation Front, which are
Topanga Canyon hippies who think they're going to reclaim America for Spanish-speaking Native American tribes.
According to their own social media, is an anti-capitalist, anti-government movement that calls for their associates to rise up and fight back against capitalism. One of the leaders of the organization, defendant Audrey Carroll, helped organize an even more radical faction of the group called the Order of the Black Lotus. Each of the defendants charged today was also a member of the Order of the Black Lotus.
I'm fairly certain that was just a fanfic thing from the show White Lotus that people were writing that, will eventually, of course, become another 65 Shades of Grey.
Carroll described this group to her co-conspirators as everything radical. As
all right, well, that covers it.
Detailed in the federal
radical,
which we will now make public. In November 2025, defendant Carroll created a detailed bombing plot to use explosive devices to attack 5 or more locations across Southern California on this upcoming New Year's Eve. Carroll and her co-defendant, Zachary Page, led the effort to obtain and build the bombs and to recruit others to join in their plot. Carroll's bomb plot was explicit. It included a step-by-step instructions to build IEDs or improvised explosive devices and listed
whichever comes first.
Multiple targets across Orange County and Los Angeles. Carroll also made clear her desires. She said, quote, "What we are doing will be considered a terrorist act."
Did she record herself doing this? Please tell me there's footage.
Carroll and Page also discussed plans for follow-up attacks after their bombings, which included plans to target ICE agents and vehicles with pipe bombs. Carroll stated that those plans would, quote, "take some of them out and scare the rest." Throughout early December, the co-conspirators discussed their plans during an in-person meeting in Los Angeles and through an encrypted messaging application. As part of the plan,
which wasn't really well encrypted. Also, where did they meet in public? Maybe that's the
4 defendants plan to build test bombs in the Mojave Desert. You're going to hear more details about the bombs they intended to build and how the operation went down in the desert here shortly from the FBI assistant director in charge.
Wait, so you found these people because they were setting off bombs in the desert, and somebody please tell me a cop just rolled up and went, "Hey, what was that big noise, guys?" Nothing. Definitely not a terrorist plot. Why don't you whip out some ID for me and explain that giant hole in the ground?
In preparation for the plan, the co-conspirators purchased multiple pieces of bomb-making materials and discussed their travel plans to the desert. Last Friday, December 12th, the defendants took a significant step to carry out their plans. They traveled to the remote campsite, which you're going to see some video of, in the desert, and they began unloading their bomb-making materials to assemble and test the bombs. They had everything they needed to make an operational bomb at that location, and they were subsequently arrested by the FBI before they could build a functional explosive device. Shortly after the defense...
Look, I have no doubt that they've caught these idiots, and people like this pop up. It's a country of 340 million people, so you're going to have reports of groups like this and nutcases like this, and obviously after Oklahoma City Oklahoma City, they're going to have to take a lot of this very seriously. But do you see where maggots will start thinking that this is a Fed, like I don't know, a manufactured win by the feds in terms of like how they feel about the Michigan plot or that like terrorist group in Florida that was like 8 guys with nunchucks in a basement that they're always laying on Democrats, that these people get arrested because they're planning shit. Whether they get there or not is, you want to stop them before they actually get there. But you got to prove that they're actually not just blowing smoke and just not, you're violating their free speech rights because they're talking to each other, not threatening someone else. And so it's a tricky line. But it sounds a lot like if this was a maggot group, the maggots would be all over this. Like, this was set up. This is thought crime.
Were taken into custody. The FBI executed multiple search warrants, including at the defendant's Southern California residence and other locations throughout the country. I'll highlight some of the items found during those searches over the weekend. For example, in Carroll's residence, law enforcement found multiple posters and materials associated with Turtle Island Liberation Front, including posters stating, quote, "Death to America, long live Turtle Island and Palestine." And
I got to tell you, I just love the mixed revolutionaries.
Quote, "Death to ICE, Turtle Island Liberation Front." In Page's residence, law enforcement found a copy of the detailed bomb.
Did they find the Kinko's receipt too? Sorry.
Attack plan. This case is another reminder about the dangers that radicalized Antifa-like groups pose to public safety and the rule of law.
Antifa-like.
Through the tireless work of our prosecutors in my office and our law enforcement partners, which you will hear from today, we disrupted this terror plot before buildings were demolished or innocent people were killed. But this is not the end of our work. My office is committed to extinguishing the far-left terror threats that we face, and will continue to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The 4 defendants arrested will make their initial appearance this afternoon at the federal court in downtown Los Angeles. They are each considered innocent until proven guilty. I will now turn it over to the Assistant Director in Charge of the FBI LA office, Akil Davis.
Operation Verdant Force? Verdant. All right.
Good morning.
Morning. Happy Verdant to you.
Again, my name is Akil Davis. I'm the Assistant Director in Charge of the FBI's Los Angeles Division. As we're all aware, we've had a busy weekend in this country and abroad with bad news incidents one after another. Today, we are announcing a major victory in our collective effort to protect the American people. The FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force intercepted a scheme by members of a violent extremist group we believed determined to detonate explosives at multiple businesses on New Year's Eve. Last Friday, the FBI arrested 4 of those subjects near 29 Palms in San Bernardino County while they planned and rehearsed their attack. The 4 subjects are members of a radical faction of the Turtle Island Liberation Front, TILF.
Please show me what these people look like. Can we get to that? Hold on. The Turtle Island Liberation Front it's got a real nice 70s throwback to it. Okay, there you go. And okay, you're going to talk about where we found them.
Task Force. For us at the Sheriff's Department.
Okay, yep, you did great. I'm glad you got them. Show me the video. Show me the people that the Turtle Island revolutionaries.
San Bernardino sheriffs and the FBI are working together to make sure that people like this are removed from the community so they can be prosecuted by the U.S. Attorney's Office to make sure that all of us can live in peace. And this is what our mission is to make sure that there's hope in all of our communities. So thank you very much for the spectacular job that the A-team showed up and did.
Okay, they're not... I want to see these... they're people in their mid-40s. I need to see this crack group that you guys managed to scoop up. Hold on. Terrorist plot, Los Angeles, turtle. Oh. I got a turtle poking out. Turtle, there you go. Turtle Island. Okay. Wow, 4 arrests, alleged terms. Okay, images. There they are. Okay, yeah. 4 charges in this. Okay, these are the... Hold on. Operation Verdant Force. These are... Okay, yikes. Okay, so this is the group. This is the terrorists. There's... hold on. Whoops, I gotta pop this in here. Hold on. There you go. Is Dante Garfield, aka Nomad, aka Cedar, Tina Chinting, aka Kickware, unnamed weird skeleton lady, and then the Audrey Carroll is the ringleader behind the whole thing. AKA Asignac, AKA Black Moon. Let's see. Yeah, this is a developing story, blah, blah, blah. Audrey Carroll, Zachary Page, Dante Gaffield, Tina Lay, all described as members of the anti-capitalist, anti-government group known as Turtle Island Liberation Front. I guess they don't want to talk about their... So according to Carroll provided a confidential human source with the FBI a handwritten document titled Operation Midnight Sun in November that detailed the plot that described their alleged plans to plant backpacks with IEDs that would simultaneously detonate at 5 locations targeting 2 U.S. companies at midnight on New Year's Eve. It sounds like they've been watching Fight Club. It includes step-by-step instructions to build IEDs and listed multiple targets across Orange County and Los Angeles. Complex pipe bombs, blah, blah, blah. Evidence photos in the court document show a desert campsite with bomb-making materials strewn across plastic folding tables. The suspects all brought bomb-making components. So it's like a buffet. It was a bomb buffet. I gotta say, like, increasingly, like some of these things, they should scoop up idiots like this, and it is very dangerous. And here's the site of their actual. Oh, where's the picture of it? I had a picture. Damn it. Dagnabbit.
What I mentioned, the Turtle Island Liberation, really just some stunning details here. What I mentioned, the Turtle Island Liberation Front, as well as what sounds like an even more sort of radical group within that group called the Order of the Black Lotus. We understand sort of the...
Is there a cat in here? Is there a kitty? Hold on. Somebody's walking around in here. All right. We might need a cat at the end of the show today just to clear the palate. Cleanse the palate, rather. This far left group.
Leader here said that the sort of mission was, quote, everything radical. Tell me what just stuck out to you from that press conference.
Well, I've also been reviewing the criminal complaint here, which is a very dense document that talks about how
as is everything that comes out of Kash Patel's office.
Human sources were able to deal with this group, provide information that authorities were able to act on. Handwritten plans to have backpacks filled with pipe bombs for what they claim targeting the new, wanting to, in fact, they took a document from the handwritten.
So there's that's the campsite that they had. And apparently they didn't notice that there was a helicopter overhead.
Notes in preparation that authorities claimed they were able to receive. Anti-government, anti-capitalism, wanting to have sovereignty, the name Turtle Island associated with some Native American groups referring to North America. So there's a lot here to try to understand.
Yeah, by the way, largely Eastern. So out here in California, like, by and large, Native tribes would have never called, this area Turtle Island.
Clearly has taken place in terms of the law.
So, I'm just saying cultural appropriation on behalf of this domestic terror group.
Enforcement piece, as they were able to intercept this, they were able to get through search warrants, through interviews, through reviewing documents, enough information that they believe they were able to take these 4 individuals off the playing field, if you can use that term.
I think you can.
5th person also arrested in New Orleans, perhaps related to this. And it talks about a very organized plot. We don't have all the details yet in going through this about how
Operation Hayvern was a complete success.
they were financed or how long this has been in the works. But this is the kind of thing that when...
By the way, they do realize that had they just waited probably a couple more hours, these assholes more than likely would have blown themselves up in the desert. It's the fire festival of Burning Man, right? Yeah, they were there's a bum rush, but don't worry. Patches Patel is on the scene, kids, like a law machine. I don't think there's ever been anybody in charge of the FBI who knows less about how it works than anyone else, and is so fundamentally attached to the idea of running it, of micromanaging it. Good Lord. Oh, I saw something else. Oh, I got a big thing for the in the Candace Owens Erica Kirk thing this afternoon. Little surprise. Apparently Trump is a piece of shit is trending. Across, yeah. All of shitter. Which, look, however long they take to get to it takes a while. But, yeah, I'm gonna let. God. Good Lord. There's a bunch of this that's just like I've got some nuggets for you this afternoon. I'm gonna let you go. Thanks for hanging out. And I gotta say, there's an account on Shitter called Stand Up for Trump. This is just to give you an example on the way out. This is the picture they posted. Do you stand for this man? Like that's what they put. This is the photo. This is a pro-Trump account. By the way, it's also, if I may, let's see if I can shrink this down, a very cankly picture. And he looks like hammered shit. It's a terrible photo. That's got to be telling. At a certain point, maybe they're trying to get people to go, actually, you know what? Looking at him now, no, I don't. I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to work on my system and see if I can get stuff up running a little bit better. I might have to do a guest test at some point this afternoon. So if I pop up, that's why. Don't hate me for it. I just got to make sure it works while I'm streaming and that I can actually incorporate the thing into like it's supposed to. I'll figure that part. I just figured out how to do it. Never mind. This is how my brain works. All right. Anyways, I love you guys. I will see you this afternoon. Thanks for sticking around for this show because I got to say, after what happened to Rob and Michelle, honestly, I'm still kind of in a stunned state. So if today was a little slapdash, I apologize. just a lot. Just crazy. And like I said, I may pop up at a different time later on today, just to test some stuff. Anyways, either way, call somebody and tell them you love them. Here's a good thing: if your parents are still around, you're lucky to have yours or any people who are surrogate moms and dads or people that were nice to you. Call them up and wish them happy holidays and check in. Right after I leave, I'm gonna go call my mom. So and then I'm gonna keep working on stuff to make the show better for you guys. That's what I'm trying to do. So much love. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else.